So everyone, Ollie here at Motion S&F, and today we're going to be learning the step-by-step process on how to do an L-sit. So we're going to start off by breaking down the L-sit into 3 different levels. So we're going to have the beginner's level, intermediate level and advanced level. So beginner's level being on something high, intermediate being on an object just above the ground, and then advanced level being straight from the floor. So we're going to start off with the beginner's level, and the first thing that we need to be working towards in terms of strength is just a static hold on something like the parallel bars or 2 high objects. So we really should be aiming for around a comfortable 15 to 20 second hold before we start to advance onto actually attempting the L-sit. So we want to keep our body nice and tight, our shoulders depressed, so lifting our head high into the air above our shoulders and keeping our core tight so we're fixated in one position for 15 to 20 seconds. Following our static hold, we're going to go on to some parallel knee tucks or parallel dip bar crunches. So what we're going to do with this is bring the knees into the air, and this is going to start easing us towards that motion of going into hip flexion without having to put full stress through our hamstring flexibility. Following our knee raises, we're going to go on to some straight leg raises. So the exact same motion, keeping our body and core nice and tight. The only difference is we're going to be keeping straight legs throughout the movement. So we're going to start getting used to being in that L-sit position without actually holding the isometric contraction at the top of the movement. We're now going to go on to an isometric hold of a knee tuck, so going into our L-sit position with our knees kept in a flexed position. So we're going to go up into a knee tuck and we're going to hold that position. Again, this should be held for around 10 to 15 seconds before moving on to the next progression, before progressing to the L-sit. So the final stage of our progressions before going on to the full high bar L-sit is to do single knee extensions while in that knee tuck position. So we're going to go up into our knee tuck, one at a time. We're going to extend one leg and hold for 5 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds before switching to the opposite leg. We should be aiming to be able to do this for around 10 seconds once again before attempting a full L-sit. So when it comes to doing the L-sit on our low bars, or if you don't have these available, I've demonstrated as well using 2 bricks just to raise yourself slightly off the ground. The movement is pretty much the exact same as doing it on the high bars. The only difference is we may need to depress our shoulders slightly lower in order to lift ourselves slightly higher off the ground, as obviously we're closer to it with the low bars. And once again, we want to keep our legs nice and straight, our core tight, and you may need slightly more mobility just to keep the legs into the air. Now, one thing I do as I struggle slightly with my mobility is I lean back slightly into the L-sit. So I almost lean back into my shoulders, and it helps me to just get those feet high enough off the ground that I can hold it comfortably. So when it comes to doing our advanced L-sit on the ground, there's a couple of exercises that we can do to start with in order to build up that static strength that we can do it on the floor. Now, the first one and most basic one is the boat hold. The reason that we're going to do this is it's just going to help us to achieve that 90-degree hip flexion while keeping our core tight and holding for longer periods of time. One of the most important aspects of doing the L-sit on the ground is the depression of the shoulders. So pressing as hard as we can into the ground in order to lift our body high enough into the air that we can comfortably hold it. So with the next exercise, we're just going to practice keeping our heels on the ground while pressing our shoulders, our hands into the floor, depressing our shoulders and lifting our hips into the air. So this is just going to start to help you to feel how high you need to be pressing in order to hold this position when you're doing the L-sit on the floor. Once we're comfortable with our shoulder depressions, we can start to lift one leg at a time and hold for around 3 to 5 seconds. Now, this is just going to help us to start to build that core strength to hold our legs and hips in the air while also pressing down through our shoulders into the floor. And once you've mastered all of these progressions, you're ready to try the full advanced L-sit on the ground. Now, as I said before, with the low L-sits, I like to slightly lean back into my shoulders, and this is just going to help me to keep my hips in the air and keep my feet in the air and as straight as possible without dipping forwards. And that, everyone, is a full tutorial on how to L-sit on high levels, mid levels, and on the floor. So as usual, everyone, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.